What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about how I made 100 motovlogs or 100 motorcycle related videos in this past year. So some of those were short, some of them were long form motovlogs. And the whole reason and the background behind this was I saw a short where Mr. Beast was talking about if he lost it all and had to restart, how he would go back, make 100 videos in a year, and he'd just try a lot of different things, right? He wouldn't have a brand, reputation, or promise, so he could experiment with a lot of different videos, see what worked, see what people liked, and he'd go from there. And so that inspired me to think, well, if he would do that, then why don't I go ahead, make 100 motovlogs. I was looking for a new kind of challenge. So about a year ago I started motovlogging and releasing them, and so now we're over 100 videos on the channel, so I thought it was a great time to recap. So a little background on me: no video editing experience, really no video making experience. You know, I'm an engineer by degree, and that's what I do all day. So this wasn't necessarily trying to find a new job. This was just kind of trying to find a, you know, a hobby, trying to publish some of the rides I do, and hopefully inspire people to get out and ride. So here are the 5 things I learned from motovlogging for a year. The first one is that it is very meditative to motovlog. What you see is sometimes the second or the third take where I had to film that video and talk about it, and usually it gets better and more refined. Like this video I'm doing right now, this is the second take of it. I'm not sure if you'll see this one or if there'll be a third take, but there's a lot of thought that goes into it behind the scenes that you don't see, where I'm thinking about topics to talk about, I'm thinking about places to go ride, I'm planning my rides maybe based on time of day or the bike I want to ride, the gear I need, and I found it really helpful to have that sort of preparation where I sort of am assessing, like, you know, do I need some extra safety gear on to be filming this video? Am I promoting the kind of messages that are good and okay, or do I, you know, because there have been videos I've filmed where it's like, you know what, I don't need to publish riding like that, right? Because that's just not really the content I'm trying to promote. There are lots and lots of other channels doing that kind of content, and that's not what I necessarily am doing well or trying to promote. So very meditative, and I think would be very beneficial for a lot of other motorcyclists. The other day I was scrolling through Instagram, saw an Instagram reel pop up, and it was this woman who published a video of her husband street racing someone. He was new, he was on a 600, and he died. It was a video of him crashing, and she was basically just like really angry about it, and published this whole video where she's like, stop trying to pressure your friends and each other to like ride beyond their limits and ride harder and all this kind of stuff, because, you know, you're hurting people. Gotta get rain off the camera. So she was really upset about it. She was trying to be like, hey, stop pushing your friends to ride beyond their limits, which is a good message, but it's also, you know, kind of a heavy message, and it's also one that unfortunately, like, wish we didn't have to hear people talk about, because it's kind of a down topic, right? But you know, he was new to riding, and this is not saying anything bad about him or anyone who's doing this kind of stuff, but I think a lot of people would benefit from thinking through, how do they want to ride, how do they want to prepare for that ride, how exactly are they going to ride, and not just reacting to whatever happens to them in the moment of, you know, a car cuts them off and all of a sudden what was a chill ride now becomes an aggressive ride to smash in their mirror, or, you know, a random person comes up and wants to race you. Like, do you actually race them? I don't know. I'm just saying there's a lot of like forethought that I have found helpful, whether that's planning around weather or gear, getting a scenic route. There's something really great about motovlogging in the fact that it forces you to prepare better for your ride, and that's been one of the most enjoyable things to me, and that's one of the reasons why I would say absolutely, if you're thinking about motovlogging, it promotes that good habit of forethought, planning, and just knowing your limits, knowing how you want to ride. The second thing I learned about motovlogging is I looked at a lot of other content too, because I was looking for topics to talk about or things going on in the motorcycle community. It made me watch a lot more and consume a lot more content than I had been previously. And I would say the second thing I learned was that motorcycle content, motovlogging and stuff like that, helmet talking, whatever you want to call it, it's extremely saturated. If you compare it to people who own a boat and make content about their boat, or people who own a car and make content about their car, versus the number of people who own a motorcycle and make content about their motorcycle, it is extremely saturated. Like, such a high percentage of motorcyclists are making content around it. And I know that not everyone is, but I'm just saying there's a lot of people making content in this sort of vein, and so it's pretty competitive. Like, if you're trying to make money off of it or run this as a business like some people are, you know, they're the top people like Brian636 or 650 Eve or Jixerbra. I don't even know who by subscriber count would be the top, but a lot of those people have been doing it for a long time. They're trying to create kind of like innovative new takes on things, and it actually is work, right? You don't necessarily get every shot right or every video right. Sometimes the audio is messed up, sometimes you looked around too much, maybe you didn't have stabilization on it. There can be a million things that go wrong when you film a video, and so you gotta go back and reshoot it, edit it, throw away footage. You have to do maintenance on your bikes. I realized that the whole like influencer life of posting on social media is actually a lot of work, and I'm not claiming to be an influencer or anything. I just feel like I just kind of dipped my toe in to try it, and I realized what these people do is actually work. There's actually effort put into it. It's not just easy, not just anyone can do it without any effort or training. And you know, my stuff's not very good compared to theirs. I'll be totally honest, it's just not, and you can see that from my subscriber count and stuff. Now, quick update: if you saw my last video, you saw where we were with subscribers, watch hours, monetization and stuff. So if you're curious about how much money do I make or anything, the answer is I make no money. I used to make money a long time ago when YouTube had more relaxed rules. Now I don't make any money. So here's an update on watch hours, subscribers. I've met the subscriber thing to get monetized, not the I haven't met the watch hour time to get monetized, and part of that is because, like I said, motovlogging is highly saturated. There's a lot of people competing for very few eyeballs, is basically what it comes down to. So it's a good thing to know if you want to do it. That's like, you're gonna have to make good content, and so hopefully challenge accepted for you. But here's my updated analytics if you're curious. Now, the third thing I learned from motovlogging is that people on the internet can be very constructive or destructive, right? You can have a lot of dislikes, and I know YouTube doesn't publicly show dislikes, but in the back end of YouTube you can still see dislikes. There's some videos I've made, gotten a lot of likes, gotten a lot of dislikes. People feel very polarized about it, and when you see all those dislikes, you know, it might get to you a little bit. Might be a little bit discouraging, and some comments can really like tear you down, make you feel bad. So not living in the comments is a great idea. Like, if you're gonna look at this stuff, I think looking at dislikes might be good, or some comments where people say the audio in this wasn't good enough, or the audio was messed up. That's constructive. I appreciate that kind of feedback, because when I'm listening to it, I edit this on like not a great laptop with speakers, so it's not the greatest way to always check the quality of audio in case of something changed between videos or something like that. And so I appreciate those, and you just can't live in the comments. Lots of famous people say that. Like, if you listen to some podcast stuff, they'll talk about how it's like you can't live in the comments, you can't read the comments. You might be able to have people like pull out the best comments, like have someone sift through them and be like, hey, here's some like actually worthwhile comments that might help you. But most of them, you just don't need to you don't need to let it go to your head, whether it's positive and people liking you or negative. You don't want to get a big head. You also don't want to be depressed over it. So, and you also don't want to take things too seriously, because you don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to ride, you know, I'm going to upgrade my bike because people say it's a lame that I own this bike, or anything like that, right? I think there's some helmet talkers that feel that way, where they feel like they've got something to prove. They gotta go out and ride really illegally and do crazy stuff because people only ever see them talk next to their bike. And you can criticize them all you want, but at the end of the day, some of those guys might be safer not riding, and that's just the way it is. So yeah, don't live in the comments. Before this, I did eBay, and I was a top-rated seller on eBay. I did, you know, hundreds or thousands of transactions a year sometimes, and I learned that a lot of people, when there's no face and no name and no human connection, will be very mean to you and very rude to you until they realize that you're a human too, and you're not just like a bot on the internet trying to screw them over. So there are lots of people that, you know, on eBay, they just demand a refund, and it's like, you know, I'm happy to give you a refund, happy to work with you. You know, oftentimes it's like, you know, USPS or FedEx or UPS damaged something in transit. I didn't intend for you to receive an item that was damaged. I thought I packaged it well. I'll give you a refund. You can keep the item, right? Like, I can work through it with people. I want to make stuff better, and oftentimes, you know, when you get that level of human connection where it's like, hey, like, I know you took this video really badly, it's not at all what I really meant. You know, just one of those things. So don't live in the comments too much, and take the constructive criticism if it's technical things that you can fix or say, but you know, don't let the comments get you too down or too up. The fourth thing I learned from motovlogging for a year is that I would not have done nearly as many trips, put as many miles on my bikes, justified owning as many bikes if I wasn't motovlogging. A lot of the times I don't have a really great reason to go ride because I work remotely a lot of the time, and so having a purpose where it's like, I'm gonna go film a video, gives me a good purpose to go out and ride when maybe I wouldn't have ridden. And so it's been really great in that way. Also, planning road trips, going to see things I wouldn't have done before. I probably wouldn't have gone on some of these long road trips I've done. I have a lot of road trips planned for this year. This weekend, actually, I was planning to be at the beach doing a video, but as you can tell, the weather is not great. So I got out between sort of like storm systems coming in, but really not like a great window to drive to the beach all day and try to film stuff there. So I highly encourage you to motovlog if you're looking to do interesting trips, if you're trying to document more rides, if you're trying to find justification to get out and ride more. I highly recommend it. It's been, in my opinion, the best way to travel, the best way to experience things. And the best way to see new places, enjoy God's creation. I highly recommend it. And the last thing, so the fifth thing I learned is that quantity does not make up for quality. So with the challenge sort of 100 motovlogs in a year, there's some pressure to get the videos done and on time and not get behind. And so it works out to be approximately 2 videos a week you have to do, and I was slow at the beginning. And you know, at the beginning, I'll say I did make a lot of videos that ended up getting deleted or I never released because they were just so bad. So I was making videos those weeks, but I ended up having to throw them away and restart because it just wasn't good enough. So that's the way it goes, right? When you're at the beginning and you're trying to learn audio equipment and what the right microphone setups are and all these kind of things. I made lots of bad videos that weren't worth releasing. And some of you might say some of these videos still aren't worth releasing, and that's fine, you know, you can say that in the comments. But quantity doesn't make up for quality. I think making less videos, not having the pressure to make as many videos, kind of making stuff that's really interesting to me, of maybe some of these trips I want to go on and stuff like that. I'm really excited for this next year of moto vlogging. It'll probably be less in the number, but I'm aiming to have higher quality. Like, I got a drone, I got you know, some changes to the microphone that I'm trying on this take, and so I'm hoping we do a lot of good, interesting things that you guys enjoy. So those are the 5 things I learned from moto vlogging for a year. Have you tried moto vlogging for a year? Let me know in the comments. Is there anything you learned from it? And this isn't to say that you can't make money at it. I'm just showing you what I did, so if you have similar skills or levels of experience, you might have somewhat similar results. But if you're thinking about trying it, absolutely try it. Highly suggest it. And thank you all for watching. I will catch you all on the next video.